Writing linear equations, chapter 4, lesson 3, part 2. So you did part 1 where you learned how to write the equations for parallel lines. Today we are moving on. So in this example, you're writing an equation when you're given a slope and a point on the line. So in our example here, you guys are asked to write an equation for a line that has a slope of -1 and it passes through the point -2 and 4. So what you're going to have to do is find the y-intercept of the line. So what we're going to do is plug in the values that we are given into our slope-intercept form. So y is 4, so we put in the y spot. Our slope is -1, that goes in the m spot. And our x is a -2, so it goes there. So we're solving for b. So again, you have 4 on the left side. -1 times -2 is 2. So right now you have 4 equals 2 plus b. So now you do inverse operations and subtract 2 from both sides to solve and see that b is 2. So after you get your y-intercept, you can plug everything into your original equation. So you are already given the slope, which was -1, and now you put the y-intercept of 2 in there. They simplified this down to y equals -x plus 2. If you have -1x plus 2, it means the exact same thing. Okay, so let's do number 10. A line has a slope of 6 and passes through the point 1 and x of 1, y of 1/3. I apologize for cutting that off. So we want to write the equation of the line. So as you can see, they already wrote 1/3 in there for us for the y. We're going to plug the slope into the m place here. They already plugged the 1 in for the x, and then we're just going to have plus b. So now we're going to do inverse operations here. Because 6 times 1 is 6, we're going to be subtracting 6 from both sides. So here we have 6 plus b minus 6. That will cancel out here. And then when we do 1/3 minus 6, we're actually going to have a -5 2/3, which would be a -17/3. So your y-intercept is a -17/3. We're just going to plug that into the right spots. Again, we have our slope of 6 already because they gave it to us. And plug in plus a -17/3, which again turns into y equals 6x minus 17/3. All right, number 11, we have a line with a slope of -3 and the point 2, 3. So we want to plug it into y equals mx plus b. Our y is 3. Our m is -3. Our x is 2. Again, we're going to solve for b. So right now we have 3 equals -6 plus b. So we're going to add 6 to both sides. So I have 3 plus 6 on this side equals a -6 plus 6 because that cancels out. So our answer is 9 equals b. So the equation of your line would eventually be y equals -3x plus 9. Please give number 12 a try on your own at this time. Pause the video and come back to check your answer in a moment. Okay, so if you did your math correctly, you would have gotten that b equals -1. So the equation for your line should have been y equals -3/2 x minus 1. Okay, next we're going to learn how to write the equation of a line when we're given a point and the equation of a line that's parallel. Remember, it's really important for this that you remember that parallel lines will have the same slope. So essentially, if you have the equation of a line that's parallel, you actually have the slope. And we're going to be doing what we did in the last couple questions. So we can go through this example. We have the point of 1 and the x is 1 and the y is 1/2. And And then they give us the equation of the line y equals 5 minus 2x. So the first thing you want to do is put the equation of the line to give you the slope-intercept form. So again, we have y equals 5 minus 2x. We want to switch that around and have y equals negative 2x plus 5. And then you see that our line has a slope of negative 2. So now that you know the slope, you're going to do what we did in the last problems. We're going to plug in our points for our y and our x to find our new y-intercept. So y is 1/2, our slope is negative 2, and x is 1. So that would give us 1/2 equals negative 2 plus b. So we're adding 2 to both sides to get the b alone, and that gives us 5/2 b. So now we have a new y-intercept of 5/2, and we're still using our same slope of negative 2. So the equation of your line is y equals negative 2x plus 5/2. Okay, so let's do number 13. A line passes through the point 1/2, 0, and is parallel to a line represented by y equals 3x. So we are writing the equation of the line. The line y equals 3x has a slope of 3. It's right in front of the x, so they made it nice and obvious for us. So the line parallel to y equals 3x will also have a slope of 3. So now we are going to find the y-intercept for our line with the point of 1/2, 0 and a slope of 3. So we're just going to plug everything in that we know. 0 equals 3 times 1/2, because that's our x. They gave me a little extra space there. Fill that in correctly. 3 times 1/2 plus b. So 3 times 1/2 is 3/2. So right now we have 0, and we're going to subtract 3/2 from both sides for inverse operations. Again, on this side, it will cancel out. So we'll have a b of a negative 3/2. The y-intercept is a negative 3/2. So again, our equation is y equals positive 3 for your slope, x minus 3/2. Okay, number 14, the line passes through the point 0, 4 and is parallel to the line represented by the equation y equals 8x plus 3. So the slope in this line, m equals 8. Now for this one, I'm going to show you a shortcut. Notice our point is 0, 4. Because you have an x of 0, you know that the y is the y-intercept. So the y in this case is the y-intercept. So we already know that our y-intercept is 4. So right away we can write the equation of that line as y equals 8x plus 4. And I'm going to prove it to you just so you see that we can do it that way. So I'm going to plug in my 4 where my y was, equals 8, the slope, times 0 plus b. So as you know, 0 times 0 is always 0, so that would just make that nothing. So right away you can see 4 equals b. Please give number 15 a try on your own now and come back and check your answer in a moment. Okay, in this example you should have gotten that b equals negative 9. M, your slope would have been negative 7. So your equation should be y equals negative 7x minus 9. Okay, now you're going to learn how to write the equation of a line given 2 points on a line. As you know, when you're given 2 points, you can always find the slope of the line. So that is your first step. Again, you want to find the slope of the line. So in this case, we have 2, 5, and negative 1, 3. So all they did to find the slope was use that formula we always use, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So negative 3 minus 5 is negative 8. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. Our negatives cancel each other out. So your slope is 8/3. And now you're going to use one of your points and plug it in like we have in the last two examples. So we're going to use our slope of 8/3, put that in for our M spot, okay? And then they chose to use points 2 and 5. So since y is 5, it's plugged in there. 8/3 in the M, and the x of 2 is plugged in. So now you get 5 equals 16/3 plus b. They subtracted 16/3 from both sides, and if you would do the math, you would see that your y-intercept is negative 1/3. So the final equation of this line would be y equals 8/3. Change that color. 8/3 x minus 1/3. In method 2, they're doing the exact same thing, just use the other point. So instead of 3, 5, they use points negative 1, 3. Just to show you, you multiply these numbers through and you get negative 3 equals negative 8/3. If you add negative 3 plus 8/3, you're still getting b equals negative 1/3. So after you find the slope, it doesn't matter what point you're using to find the y-intercept. Okay, let's do number 16. We have an equation of a line that passes through the pair of points 2, 5 and negative 1, 3. Use the slope 8/3. So they're actually giving us the slope of 8/3. But these are actually the same 2 points from our last example. So maybe that's why they gave it to us. So let's use negative 1, 3. Okay, so we would have negative 3 equals 8/3 times negative 1 plus b. So again, that's negative 3 equals a negative 8/3 plus b. So we'd add 8/3 to both sides to get rid of it. And as they showed us in our example, I'm unsure why they're having you do the same example. The y-intercept is negative 1/3. So the equation is y equals 8/3 x minus 1/3. All right, so let's do number 17 and 18 together, and then I'm going to have you do the last two on your own and come back and check your work. So we have a points negative 6, 8, and 6, negative 4. So first I'm going to find my slope by doing y2, which is negative 4, minus 8, which is y1, divided by x1, 6, minus x2 minus x1. So I simplify here and I get negative 12 over 12, which simplifies all the way down to negative 1. So my m equals negative 1. So now I'm going to use this point, negative 6, 8, and plug that in to try and solve for my b. So y is 8 equals my m of negative 1 times my x of negative 6 plus b. So I get 8 equals 6 plus b. I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides, and I will get that b equals 2. So the equation of our final line, we have our m is going to be y equals negative 1x plus 2. In number 18, we have 0.03 and 5/11. So again, I got to find slope first. 11 minus 3 over 5 minus 0, and I'll get 8/5. So m equals 8/5. So now I want to use 0.03. Anytime a 0 is available, I like to use that. So again, I already know my y-intercept because of that point, but I have 3 equals 8/5 times 0 plus b, which you know is 3 equals b. So the equation of our line is y equals 8/5 x plus 3. All right, so the next page I want you guys to try on your own. Come back and check your work, and that's it for this lesson. Okay, your final answers for number 19 should have been y equals 2x plus 6. And for number 20, y equals 4/3 x plus 5/3. But you did great. Make sure you write any questions down for me, please.